yesterday was April Fool's Day, I thought it would be fun to share some funny books that you can read aloud in your classroom. Now, so many picture books have that humor element to them, which is really what gets students engaged in reading the picture books. But I picked out a few of my favorites that I thought I would share with you today. But first, I'm curious. Are you excited that April Fool's Day was on a Saturday and you don't have to be in your classroom? Or are you sad that you missed out celebrating this silly holiday with your students? Leave a comment down below to tell me which side of the coin you are on. But let's jump right into those silly picture books that you can share as read-alouds in your classroom. The first book that I have is The Pigeon Needs a Bath. Now, all of the Pigeon books are so funny, and your students will be laughing out loud along with Pigeon and the crazy antics that he gets into. In this one, Pigeon really needs a bath, but he doesn't want to, and he really tries to convince the reader that it's not really necessary. Your students will get a kick out of all of the reasons that he comes up with to not take a bath, and then find out what happens once he finally decides to get into the tub. Now, I have another Mo Willems series to share with you that will definitely get laughs out of your students. The Elephant and Piggy books are another set of very funny characters. This one is Should I Share My Ice Cream? And one of the things I like about the Elephant and Piggy books is they have a subtle message to them that students may not even realize that they're picking up on, because the books are so silly, they're so simple, but they are so much fun to read aloud with kids of any age. In this one in particular, Elephant gets an ice cream cone and he's so excited. It's his favorite flavor. He is so excited to eat it. But then he realizes maybe he should share it with his best friend Piggy, because they're best friends after all, and he thinks that he should share stuff with her. But he really wants to eat it on his own. But he really should share it with her, but maybe it's not her favorite flavor. And he goes back and forth and has this internal conflict about sharing the ice cream cone with her, to the point where by the time he finally makes a decision, his ice cream cone has melted and now neither of them get to enjoy it. But don't worry, there is a happy ending to this story, and your students will be laughing along with Elephant and Piggy the whole way. Now, who would think that a book with no pictures could be so funny? Well, that's exactly what The Book with No Pictures is by B.J. Novak. This hilarious book starts out by admitting that a book without any pictures might seem a little boring, but it soon shows the readers that words can be powerful and funny all on their own. Your students will definitely be asking for this book over and over again as you both laugh out loud at this book with no pictures. Another author that is known for his super silly books is Robert Munch. This one is called Show and Tell, and in this book, Benjamin wants to take something really exciting to class for show and tell. Well, that something really exciting is his baby sister. And as it turns out, his baby sister does not want to be in class with him. And his teacher needs to figure out what to do with this screaming, crying baby. And she tries so many different things. The principal comes in and they tried so many things to get this baby to calm down, until the one thing that does calm her down is her mother. And this Robert Munch book, along with so many of his others, another one of my favorites is Thomas's Snowsuit, but they will all have your students cracking up. And one thing I like about this one is that at the very end, there is a nod to many characters from all of his other books. And you and your students can see if you can figure out which of the other characters are shown on the last page of this book. Another funny book that you can read aloud with your students right around April Fool's Day is also perfect for Poetry Month, which is in April. This one is Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. This hilarious collection of poetry and illustrations will introduce your students to poems in a funny and imaginative way. There are a variety of poetry styles in this one book that will help your students learn more about poems and see how fun, how silly, how exciting writing and reading poetry really can be. This next book that I have is about a box of crayons. This one is The Day the Crayons Quit. And your students will get a kick out of learning about each crayon's point of view and why they have a bone to pick with their owner, Duncan. They all have reasons for why they're being used too much or why they're not being used enough, and each one of them writes a letter to him explaining what they think needs to be changed in his coloring skills and abilities. And then when you read to the end, you'll see how Duncan takes all of their points of view, all of their advice, and makes an amazing picture to share with his class. And as I said, this is a great book for point of view, and I'll leave a link in the description box down below to our book club membership where you can get a lesson to go along with this book all about teaching point of view. It's a really fun lesson full of discussion questions and activities that kids can do to go along with The Day the Crayons Quit. Another funny book that I have to share with you, I talked about just a few weeks ago in my favorite books that came out in the year 2022. This one is called Bathe the Cat. In the story, it's cleaning day, but the family cat will do anything to get out of having to take a bath. And the family creates a checklist of all the chores that they need to do that day. But since that cat doesn't want to be bathed, he goes out of his way to make sure that chore list gets all mixed up. And pretty soon the family is vacuuming the lawn, sweeping the dishes, and even rocking the rug. Your students will be laughing out loud as they see how mixed up this to-do list becomes after the cat gets to it. Will they finally be able to get all their chores done correctly? And will the cat get out of taking a bath? You'll have to read it out loud with your students to find out. Another one of my favorite silly books is Dragons Love Tacos. When it comes to tacos, dragons love all kinds, but they don't like spicy salsa, so don't even think of giving them any. And when the little kid in the story accidentally serves spicy salsa to the dragons, trouble erupts. This is a fun read aloud to do with your students, and they'll be laughing about what happens when these dragons get spicy salsa by accident. And my last funny book that I wanted to share with you today, I swear I have it somewhere in my house, but can't seem to find it, is Diary of a Worm. And this is another fun one because, like the crayons book, we get to see a different point of view. We get to see the point of view of the worm, and he is writing in his diary, and we are finding out the things that he does and what it's like to be a worm. He does a lot of things that are similar to your students. He goes to school, he plays with his friends, but unlike your students, he never has to take a bath. He gets to actually eat his homework, and because he doesn't have legs, he just can't do the hokey pokey, no matter how hard he tries. Your students will get a lot of laughs out of Diary of a Worm. I think that they'll really enjoy that funny book as well. I hope that you had a wonderful April Fool's Day and that you'll get to share some funny books with your students either this week or throughout the year. And I would love to know what your students' favorite laugh out loud funny book is. So leave a comment down below to share that with us. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and hit that red subscribe button down below, because I'll be back next Sunday night with more read aloud book ideas for you to share in your classroom right away. Have a great week.